Hello, everyone. If you're joining us today, thank you so much for being here. We are seeing people move in from the waiting room into the main webinar space. So give us a couple minutes to allow people to trickle in, and then we will get started. All right, everyone. Thank you again for joining us today. I'm hoping it's beautiful and sunny where you are. Summer is here. I'm excited. My name is Bethany Quinn. I am president of Golden Shovel Agency. And as always, we appreciate you sharing your day with us. I am joined here today by someone I'm really excited for you guys to meet, because she is a technology innovator that is helping economic developers like you to do a better job every day. So Sophia, say hello.
Awesome. Great to meet everyone. And thank you, Bethany, for inviting us on this webinar. My name is Sophia Zhang. I am the founder and CEO of Blue Dot. Really great to meet everyone.
Yeah, I'm glad you are here. We had a recent BR&E webinar for those of you who attended. And one of the things people were asking a lot about afterwards is, hey, can you introduce us to some of the technology tools that would make it possible to scale our programs? And so that's why Sophia is joining us here today. And for those of you who are not familiar with Golden Shovel, just as a reminder of who we are. So we are an economic development specific strategy and communications firm. We have been in business for over 16 years. Economic development is all we do. We have completed over 300 projects in 41 states and 5 countries, with the majority of our work being here in the United States. And we are incredibly privileged to have a 95% client retention rate because we really prioritize our relationships with all of you. And we are here to serve you and to help make your life easier. And that's why we are sharing information today from Blue Dot.
Awesome. All right. And Blue Dot was actually built in 2019 from a 16-week partnership with the local city's economic development team. We literally had a desk in the city hall, and we sat right next to their economic development team, which at that time was only 1.3 full-time staff. I think there are 2 people now. So that point has graduated into a full-time resource, but small, medium-sized local cities and counties are exactly the type of organizations that we love to work with. Since we launched, our BR&E solutions are now used by over 200 communities all across the country, as you can see on the map. Really, it's been really rewarding to be able to continue to enhance our solutions with so many communities and so many economic development teams. It's all we do. In today's presentation, I'll be really happy to share with you guys some tips and tricks that we've learned from working with all these communities. Hopefully that will give you guys some inspirations and takeaways that you can take back to your own day-to-day work, and hopefully make your job easier, a little bit more impactful.
And that's what I love about the Blue Dot story, is that you had experience working with a team that was incredibly small. You said 1.5 people, right? And that's something that is very, very common in the industry, to have a small team. So knowing that you were building that technology and they were testing it out right there, I think that's a fantastic background. All right, so let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Tools for implementing a BR&E program. So the first thing that I want to point out is that technology is the tool we need to do more, but we still need people, right? This is a very people-centric business. And the organizations we work with that are having the most success in BR&E are leveraging technology, but they still have someone on their team, or they've hired a third party like us to actually help run their program, simply because you still have to have people that can go and meet face to face, make those phone calls, because a personal touch matters. I do like to share resources, obviously, everywhere that we can. So you're going to get a follow-up with this presentation, but a link to some of our podcasts are here. Recently, I had the pleasure of speaking with the folks from the Iowa Lakes Corridor about their BR&E program, so you can get some firsthand tips on what they're doing. This is a rural area, and they are completing 11% of the BR&E visits for the entire state of Iowa. So that is definitely a podcast you want to listen to for firsthand tips. There's also a podcast that we did with Palestine, Texas, and they're using their BR&E program and their business intelligence visits to not only help local companies thrive, but to aid in attraction efforts. They've been able to blend the two, and they provide firsthand tips as well. So I recommend after this webinar, you listen to those resources. And for anyone who wants help developing a BR&E program and implementing it, Golden Shovel can craft those, and we also can staff those. We have staffed those with putting people on site. So that is a good background information for all of you. In regards to the tools that you can use to scale your program, we continue to recommend survey tools, integrating AI when possible. Golden Shovel and our website content and survey integration online is really helpful. Being able to direct people back to information on your BR&E program. Both Iowa Lakes and Palestine have a lot of information online, and we manage those sites. And then Blue Dot, of course, we're going to learn a lot about Blue Dot today. And then providing additional tools like Esri, business analysis, lead forensics, and size up. Those are all great technology tools that can be integrated into your website. But for today, we are going to focus on Blue Dot because this is a tool that was created for economic developers specifically, and they have a lot of great case studies to share. So Sophia, off to you.
Amazing. Perfect. Well, I am excited to talk all about our CRM today. Great. So before I get started and jump into a few slides on our CRM platform, I'll just speak a few words about each of the solutions that we offer. Some of these we will cover today in our short webinar. Some of these we do have more information on our website, so feel free to check those out later. The CRM platform is designed to help our cities really manage and track all of their local businesses, all of the BR&E efforts, all of the outreach, everything that Bethany had listed. I mentioned just now as well. So in today, you'll hear a lot about the different ways that we think you can really optimize that value add from the CRM platform. So that's one. The one you see in the middle, I will cover that a little bit towards the end. This is actually a web-based business directory, and we've collaborated with Golden Shovel to integrate this really easy turnkey business directory onto Golden Shovel websites. It's been really great, and we'll share an example of how that looks. It's a really easy way to promote your local businesses, give them another way of being found from a really trusted source, and then helping the community being able to engage and look up businesses that they're looking for. So great little resource right there. And then the last one on the right-hand side is actually our Shop Local app. We will probably not be able to get to that today, but feel free to look up on our website for more information. This is where if you want to give more incentives towards your local residents for shopping at the local businesses, and this program is live in a number of communities across the country, like El Paso, Arlington, Virginia, so on and so forth. So we can talk about that in another occasion. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. Perfect. For today, I will give you guys 4 main tips to add immediate value to your business retention and expansion program. Throughout today's slides, I will be talking about having a comprehensive business database, being able to track your activities, scale outreach, as well as promoting your local businesses with a web directory. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Perfect. First and foremost, having a comprehensive business database is really, really foundational to any BR&E program, right? It's extremely important to first at least know what are the businesses that are in your community to be able to formalize your plans and initiatives and have a goal and have a plan of attack, so to speak, for engaging with them and working with them. However, there are a lot of challenges of building a good business database. The data sources are often very fragmented. In all of the communities that we work with, oftentimes they may have a list from a business license, some other list that they've gathered from previous surveys, some list that they have with maybe chamber or from the state, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of fragmented data sources, and often with conflicting information, it's really, really hard and time consuming to clean that up. And secondly, business information changes all of the time. Right, I am sure that's a challenge that everybody on our webinar today can resonate with. New businesses open, businesses close, people change, contexts change, owners change. There is a lot of dynamic updates that need to happen to that business database, and keep that up to date on an ongoing basis is an effort in and of itself. Um, and for our economic development teams with 1.5 people, it is very time consuming. So this is actually a reason why we dedicate a large percentage of our engineering resource just to crack this code. So with the Blue Dot CRM, we will actually pre-populate your CRM for you with your local business database. So all you gotta do is log in to your instance, and there it is, your local business database. The way we do that is that we partner with a lot of those fragmented data sources that I had mentioned, and also scrape data from anything that we can get our hands on, like Google, Yelp, and everything that we have access to be able to bring you as much data as possible about your local businesses from the onset, so that you don't have to do that manually yourself. And in addition, we also offer a monthly refresh, so that every month we go on again and search for all of your businesses to see if there is any new ones that we find, any businesses where the status became permanently closed in Google, we'll give an alert for that. So all of those things, we're hoping that just by providing the data in itself is a huge value add, so that you don't have to do a lot of that manually and be always in the know in terms of what's happening with the local businesses. So we actually have a free tool on our website where you can look up how many businesses and some basic industry breakdowns for your community. So feel free to scan that QR code or just go to that website that will be available in the slide deck that will be shared afterwards. And feel free to check it out and see how many businesses that we find in your community. Give that a shot. All right, perfect. So here's an example from City of Clearwater. Like many cities that we work with, they had their own data that they want us to bring in the form of multiple disconnected and messy spreadsheets. And when they transfer all of that, wealth of spreadsheets into our system and merged it and compared it with the data that we pulled, they were able to immediately see, oh, what is the overlap and what is the gap, right? So now with the ongoing refresh, they're able to really systematically target the businesses and have a really clear view of what's in the city, what's changing, and being able to formulate their ongoing BR&E effort. They also mentioned using Blue Dot to narrow down the NICS codes. That's one of the data points that we pull for businesses. So in terms of the data points that we pull, industry sector like NICS codes, number of employees, the sales revenue, the type of the company, whether it's a franchise, independent business, so on and so forth, as well as obviously business name, address, website, contact information, all the good stuff. So this way, having all of those information at your fingertips is extremely helpful, and it really sets up the foundation to a successful BR&E program. Okay, next slide. Perfect. Once you have your business database, the second thing that we'll absolutely recommend and we empower you to do is being able to segment your business population based on the characteristics that matter for your initiatives. And our cities work with all kinds of initiatives in our platform. They may be focusing on particular industry sectors. They may be focusing on particular geographies or regions or opportunity zones and things like that. They may be focusing on businesses that are of certain age, right? We had one city that were looking to offer succession planning workshops to businesses where the owner has successfully run it for a while and looking to transition and retire. And they want to help those businesses transition and still be successful after the owner changes. So all kinds of initiatives really depend on being able to segment your businesses really in a really targeted manner towards the initiatives that you're trying to offer. So in our platform, some examples, you're able to filter based on the labels that you create, based on any type of custom queries that you can enter using all of the data points that we pull, as well as a built-in map module where you can overlay the zones that you guys have from the Esri system and just drop them in here so that you can overlay the map boundaries with the business database on the same map. So you can see, great, I want to see all of the businesses in downtown or opportunity zone. There it is. Real simple. Okay, next slide. Perfect. As an example, Fairfax County, Virginia has been using the label functionality extremely well to be able to assign labels to businesses and track the programs that they offer, right? So they've set up some custom labels to track the different programs. And this way, it gives them a really holistic view of which businesses participated in which programs and sometimes multiple programs. And just having all of that insight and tracking within the same database has been really important for all of their subsequent outreach. And similarly for City of Miramar, Florida, they actually have a very robust inclusivity program targeting minority-owned, women-owned businesses and owners, and they want to be able to give them additional resources as vendors to the city, opening up to those kinds of opportunities, as well as additional resources that they provide. As well as a certification program, which I'll cover in a little bit later. But being able to segment and classify those businesses based on these characteristics that really matter for their own initiatives it has been extremely helpful. So highly recommend that. Okay. All right. The last thing I'll say about when it comes to the comprehensive business database is that if your city does have a business licensing system, I would absolutely highly recommend connecting that business license data with our platform. We can do that in one of two ways. If the business licensing system that your city uses supports an API connection, that means our software can talk to that software directly. That's phenomenal. It's really easy to set up, and then we're able to essentially grab and sync that data over with very little manual intervention. So that's one way. If the API route is not a possibility based on a system that your city has, there is a workaround. We can basically set up a SFTP file transfer. Won't bore you guys with the details today, but essentially it still allows us to accomplish the same goal where we can provide an automatic link between your business license data and your Blue Dot CRM. This way, if a new business registers for a business license, if there's any updates to any licensing information, you will be able to see that in Blue Dot as well without having to manually, update those things. Okay. When you have your business license information combined with the business data that we pull, it brings you additional insights. What do I mean? You would then be able to see what are the businesses that are actually not registered. So if we find this restaurant in Google that popped up and you say, wait, they actually haven't applied for a license, that would be something that we'll be able to identify for you. So that's really interesting. And we've had some cities that are doing this kind of analysis to be able to find businesses that they can reach out to and say, hey, here's an opportunity to offer some additional resources, but also you need to apply for the business license. It is also interesting to be able to reach out to the new businesses proactively. If new businesses that are registering in business license or new business that we find, it's a great opportunity for the economic development team to send them a welcome email and start establishing that relationship as early as possible. And I know that having some of this business license data has been really helpful for a lot of our cities. And next slide. Perfect. So for example, City of Pasadena, they have set up a syncing between their business licensing system and ours. And recently, obviously, the SoCal area had that fire emergency, and City of Pasadena was really able to use the business licensing information that we have stored, as well as the business database that we already have readily available for them in Blue Dot, to be able to target their response effort. And being able to keep them up to date as time goes on. Obviously, they have over 10,000 businesses, so it's really hard to keep that track of that manually. So having this automatic update is super helpful. Similarly, for the town of Johnstown, Colorado, they're actually doing their entire business licensing system within Blue Dot. So that is also a possibility, including the payment piece, everything from application to renewal to payment. If that's something that you guys, any of you guys on the webinar might be interested in hearing more about, happy to talk about that later. Amazing. Okay. All right. On to our second way to add value, that will be tracking the activities in your CRM. Obviously, the main goal of having a CRM is to be able to track the activities that you guys are having with those businesses. But here, I would just share a few tips to make that easy. The first is to automate as much as you can. I really cannot stress this enough. The biggest reason many CRM implementations fail is because the manual effort was just too much, and then people forget to do it. People didn't do it for a while, and then before you know it, a few weeks or a few months have passed. Everything is stale, and now it's becoming even more daunting of a task to have to go back and catch up, several weeks or several months of work. So if, to the extent possible, you can automate as much of that information activity tracking and logging as you can, will alleviate so much of that manual work and help you keep the platform up to date without, having to consume more of your time. So the easiest way to automate, the first and foremost, a must-have will be an email integration. So we connect with our users' Outlook or Gmail accounts or any of the email providers to be able to automatically sync your emails with the business profiles that you have. So what does that mean? Say today you got an email from Bob, and we know that, oh, bob@gmail.com is actually a contact for demo business. The email thread would show up on that business profile automatically without you having to copy and paste anything. Remember to BCC any emails or anything like that. Just talk to Bob as you normally would in your email, and then that entire thread will show up here on the wall without you having to do anything. So next time you log into Blue Dot, all of the emails are just going to be magically there. We're just going to say in the background. So that is, I really cannot recommend that enough. It's a huge value add to making sure that all of this information is tracked without you having to spend any extra second. One thing I'll just particularly highlight, because I know that many CRMs, even though they do have email integration, they don't support this, is the retroactive syncing. What do I mean? Two things. Let's say that you connected your email today. Retroactively syncing means that we will sync your emails even for the emails before you connected, right? So say you've been in your role for 2 years and you have 2 years worth of emails in your Outlook, and you connected your email to Blue Dot today. We will then go back and look through all of your last 2 years of emails to make sure that, great, let's start organizing some of these based on the emails that you already have, right? So the first time you connect your email, you're going to see that syncing button spinning for a little while because we're processing all of your historical data. That is just a huge value add right from the get-go. Having the business database and all of the emails just magically appear is really awesome. Okay, so that's one. Secondly, it also ensures nothing falls through the cracks going forward, right? So what do I mean? So say, right, we talked about you got an email from Bob, and a week later you've been talking to Bob. A week later you realize, oh shoot, I actually never added Bob in my CRM. What do I do now? With retroactively syncing, it doesn't matter. Just add Bob as a contact to demo business. We'll go back and pulling all of the emails that we missed. So this way you'll never miss anything. I think with some of the other experiences with CRMs, we know that some of these can be a pain point. So I just really want to stress that being able to automate your email connection is really, really huge. And being able to retroactively sync is really, really huge. Okay, next slide. Perfect. Great. That leads us to the second talking point would be the central timeline, right, of that engagement. So this is essentially, you can think of it as a as one central view for each one of your businesses, and it highlights and summarizes all of the past touch points and relationships that your entire team has had with that particular company. By touch points, what do I mean? Emails, obviously, meetings, calls, any visits, any surveys, anything, any random phone call, any bump them in the street, any random conversation notes like that, projects, all of the above. So having one central place where all of the touch points and information, kind of a brain dump from everybody on your team, is really important to collaborate with everybody else on your team. It is also a great way to track those to-dos. So say you had a meeting with with a business owner and there are 3 follow-up items, and you need to assign that to different members of the team, or just to put a reminder for yourself to be able to, check in with them in 2 weeks, things like that. Being able to track those to-dos while maintaining the context of what was the original touch point is super helpful within the CRM space. Okay. Third is super critical to have this repository as a way to keep your institutional knowledge. And we know that, we all know that people, change jobs and they move from different teams to maybe from between cities and stuff like that. So when you have previous team members leave, having all of their historical data still stored in the CRM is really critical for the remaining team members to still maintain that context and not have that knowledge just be gone with the member that is leaving. And it also serves as a great jumping off point for new hires to onboard, right? As a new hire, they come into the team fresh. Now they have a wealth of resources and historical time context that they can reference and pick up where things left off. So super important to have this timeline. Okay, next slide. Perfect. So as a case study, City of Lathrop, California, has been doing a really great, awesome job at keeping that. So there's like they said, right, there is a lot of turnover with those businesses and people leave, and maintaining a historical time context within this within a platform that is constant and doesn't change with any of those moving factors is really, really important. And it also allows the city, the economic development team, to collaborate with other departments at the city as well. So Shelley, she gave an example where the police department was looking for data for businesses, and they needed some help with that. And Shelley was able to just quickly gather that information in Blue Dot and send it their way. So being able to reference the information across department is also a really great value add for having everything in one central place. Okay. All right. Okay. While we're tracking those activities, right? One more tip that I would just share is being able to tag the different types of activities. And this is this is a game changer for reporting purposes. Okay. So say you synced a bunch of emails and meetings and calls in your platform. What are the emails about? Right? So with the tagging, it helps you say, oh, these 3 emails are about technical assistance. These 5 emails are about events that they're attending. These 3 emails are about an incentive program, whatever. This one is about a grant for a facade improvement, whatever else. So being able to tag the different various types of activities that you're having allows you to then, at the end of the quarter or at the end of the year, whenever you need to do a reporting, being able to summarize those metrics in a way that it really matters for the leadership, right? So I encourage all of our cities to think about the different programs and tags that they want to create or visualize in the report, and then work backwards and say, great, if I want my report to look like that, what are the tags and different types of activities I should set up from the beginning so that we can incorporate that into our daily workflow. Once you do that, generating report is literally a click of a button instead of having to manually go back and clean up a lot of those things. So you can tag your emails, meetings, and calls, and you can also create custom activity templates. As an example, one of our cities really want to track how many businesses call their customer service hotline. So then they set up a customer service template as a way to capture the right information when a caller calls, and also being able to say, great, at the end of the Q1 2025, we've had 37 businesses call the hotline, literally with just a click of a button. So one thing that we encourage our cities to do is really think about what are the critical programs and activities that they want to track, and then work backwards and say, okay, great, what are the templates or activity tags that we might want to create from the beginning? Okay, amazing. All right. Okay, perfect. Bring out to our third item on our agenda would be to scale your outreach. Right? We talked about having a good foundational database. We talked about having a good way to track all of the different touch points and activities. Now, how can we scale some of that outreach that you might want to send to your businesses? By outreach, it could be a newsletter, it could be an event that is happening, maybe a webinar, it could be just programs and resources. You could be sending them surveys. All of those are things that you can do with the group email kind of a functionality within Blue Dot. So this way, you can essentially deliver the right information to the right audience at the right time, being able to leverage the labels or the different classifications or the different segmentation that we talked about earlier, and being able to say, great, I am hosting a workforce related webinar. I am going to share this information to all of my HR related contacts. Makes sense. Or I have a small restaurant grant program, and I'm going to send this to all of my restaurants. Amazing. Or you have a facade improvement grant for all of the downtown businesses. Let's create a boundary for the downtown and send this information to all of the businesses that are in that boundary, right? So all of those are really good examples of how you can leverage the business database as well as the different ways that you can segment them to really target the communication to the right audience. In addition, there is also data that we can help track that you should take a look at once the communication has been sent. So things like the open analytics, right? Which businesses have actually opened the email and which hasn't, right? So in each business's the timeline, you will be able to see, hey, this business has received 3 newsletters in the past. They opened this one, but not this one. Or having those kind of contacts is really helpful next time you walk in to those businesses' doors, so that you will have a basic sense of how much they know or how much they have seen. And similarly, on an overall scale, being able to gauge the effectiveness of your outreach and schedule and target your follow-ups is really helpful. So highly recommend tracking some of that open rates once you do this kinds of group email campaigns. Okay, next up. Perfect. So some examples, city of Clearwater, Florida, for example, here's a great example where they were able to use the group email functionality to target workforce related. So this would be a job fair from a local resource, and they know that HR people really want to attend. So they would be able to sub-filter all of the relevant contacts and relevant businesses within their community to receive this information. So super, super easy. And similarly, Fairfax County, because they were able to use labels to classify the different businesses that participate in certain programs, but also being able to leverage, the employee sizes and additional metrics to be able to sub-filter, segment their businesses. They are then able to provide those information and being able to send surveys as well. So great examples all around. Okay. Amazing. Okay. Speaking of surveys, it's a great segue. Surveys are super important for a lot of our cities' BR&E efforts. It's a really direct way of gathering that feedback directly from your business community, whether it's just ongoing regular annual BR&E surveys or for specific instances or even emergencies, right? So I don't have to overemphasize the importance or the usefulness of surveys. But one thing I'll just highlight and point out is that if you are able to map the survey questions to the business database fields, it really, really does wonders to streamline your survey workflow. Okay, what do I mean? So say one of the questions in your survey, you're asking them to enter, hey, how many employees do you currently have? That is a question that should be mapped to the employee size database field in your CRM, right? Once you map that, you'll know that whatever answer that the business owner is responding in that survey gets updated in your business database automatically. Because otherwise you'll end up with a CRM over here and then 5 different spreadsheets of various survey responses, all with conflicting information is really hard to keep track. So being able to set this kind of a mapping before the survey even goes out is a huge step in our opinion. So to the extent that is relevant for the questions that, hey, these questions should map to a bit database field, we'll highly recommend all of our cities to do that and have that structure set up going into even before you're sending out the survey. So that's one. Secondly, being able to link the survey questions with your CRM database fields also allow you to automatically populate certain answers in the form. So sometimes our cities want businesses to update their information. Being able to automatically populate some of those fields makes it a lot easier for the business owner to only have to update the information that has changed. And if the information that has not changed, they can just leave those as is. It makes it easier for them to fill things out. If they see, oh, many of these are already populated, it's so easy for me to just update a few and then click submit, then it increases the response rates instead of them having to manually typing everything over and over again, even though they have already provided that information maybe 3 months ago or 6 months ago. So all of those are really good benefits of helping you streamline some of that workflow and also make it easier for your business owners. Okay, next slide. Perfect. So City of Pasadena actually did use our survey functionality to respond to the fires, the fire emergency. So they used the surveys to conduct collect information about the impacts that their businesses were facing, right? And they were able to assess some of the damages and what other resources that they need. 70% reported that they had to close for some duration, and 95% reported they have no financial assistance. Many of them who own their businesses also lost their homes, and many of the employees were also impacted. So all of these almost 600 replies that they were able to gather from their small business community has been really key in shaping their emergency response strategies going forward, leading into recoveries and rebuild. So super important tool to have in your toolbox. All right. Okay. The last thing I'll quickly mention in terms of scaling your outreach along similar lines is to automatically create projects from your survey response. And this is really great if you are using survey as a way to maybe for a grant application as an example, and then after the response comes in, you know that there is a very standardized process you need to follow. So grant is a great example. So say you're creating the entire grant application form as a survey and you send that out to your businesses, or maybe you link that on your website, and then responses start coming in. And you know that for every response that comes in, we have to first review the application. We then have to schedule an intake meeting, and then we have to meet with various departments or whatever, or maybe we have to follow up with them, and maybe all the way through, if they were awarded a grant, then maybe for the next 3 years, we have to have an annual compliance check, things like that. So there are some instances where you may have a standardized process to follow in your project, and having those templates set up from the get-go before you even send the application out is a huge time saver. So grants, incentives, we've seen our cities use that for workforce-related issues to have businesses submit their internship positions and match those with job seekers. It's great for business certification, minority-owned business as an example, applications, as well as business licensing. So all of these are great example use cases to be able to streamline some of that project-related workflow in connection with the surveys. Okay, last but not least, promoting your local businesses on your website with a business directory is such an easy value add that all of our communities can offer immediately to their business community. All of the businesses will be, again, pre-populated by us, but it gives the business owners an opportunity to update their profile. So what you're seeing on the screen here is actually a Golden Shovel website with Sumter County, Florida, and with there they have embedded our directory as a little plugin within the Golden Shovel website. It looks amazing. So one thing that Golden Shovel also did that was really awesome with Sumter County is that you can see on the top of my screenshot, they've set up a few different tabs for explore, for eat and drink, for shop, and for other things. So for each of those pages, we can then set up a customized directory with businesses that are relevant for that sector, which I think is really awesome. One of the things that that Golden Shovel did with this website that they built. Within each of those businesses, when you click into it, it will bring you to a business profile. You will have our pre-populated information, including photos, including their hours, phone numbers, all of the information that we can find. So it's completely turnkey for all of you guys. But then if a business owner and say, great, I actually want to add some more photos, or I don't like the photos that you put, I want to swap with my own, or I want to update my hours or whatever else. They can just click on the edit button within their business profile and being able to provide you that information. We've actually seen some of our cities leverage that touch point as a way to gather additional information from businesses. So you can actually customize what questions you want to ask in that form and just throw in a few more questions you want them to ask, right? Such an easy touch point. It gives the businesses a free benefit of being promoted on your website, and it gives you an opportunity to have another touch point and have another way of establishing that relationship. So super easy. I highly recommend all of our communities to throw this on their website. Amazing.
Yeah, thanks, Sophia. This is definitely a good example of a way to feature your business community. And what I love is that your tool, you already pre-populate it, right? And that is one of the biggest challenges.
Yes.
Again, we completed over 300 projects for economic development organizations. And one of the struggles people have is how do we get that fresh, updated data on our business community when things change so rapidly? Even if they just move locations, it can be difficult to track that down. So the fact that your tool does that automatically is a huge time saver and great benefit.
Easy.
So that's awesome. We're going to open it up for questions here in a minute, but before we do, I wanted to share with everyone just a few more resources. Again, I'm all about sharing tools with you that help make your job easier. And just want to reiterate that a couple of university programs are really great where you can just take a class or two. Some of these are no cost, some of them are low cost. But you don't have to go back to school and earn a degree in BR&E, but you can still get a lot of great information by doing some of these on-demand courses. The Ohio State University Extension, they have a 3-week workshop, or 3 workshops, excuse me. University of Minnesota Extension, they've done a lot of original research that I think is really valuable, and BR&E International. Here's an actual QR code if you guys want to pull out your phone and scan through to the University of Minnesota site. I think personally, that's the most robust online tool that you can find that's also going to include original research, because they have been putting so much together with academic rigor, but it's available for you. So great tool from the University of Minnesota. And then also Golden Shovel, we have our free BR&E white paper. For those who haven't read our white papers before, one thing that makes them unique is not only do we discuss the problem and solutions, but we do provide a lot of case studies, both from our clients and from economic developers all over the country. And it's really important that we do that, because if something worked for a community in one area, it's probably going to work for a community somewhere else. So we want to make sure you're not just hearing from us, but hearing from each other. So I definitely recommend that you download this. And you can also go to our resource learning library. All of our white papers are there completely for free. So download at any time to get additional information. And with that, I'd love to open it up for questions. So if you have a question for Sophia, feel free to put it in the chat. I know I've been checking my email as this has been going, and I did get a couple questions that were sent my way as well. One person wanted to know about geography. So if they're working with Blue Dot and they want to have an understanding of what's happening in their business community and their regional organization, how does that work?
Great question. So in our data set, we have access to every single business across the entire United States and Canada. So typically, when we welcome a new community to the platform, they will let us know what is their jurisdiction. So if a regional community, I'm assuming it might span, multiple counties and stuff like that. So we'll just take your guidance on, okay, what is the geography that matter for you? And then we'll dig into that particular area and give you the data set. So basically, you tell us what is the range, and then we'll gather the data based on that.
Okay, perfect. That's definitely helpful. Another question that I had received when you were presenting is about businesses and the data that you are providing.
Mhm.
So they need to have the right contact. For
Of
example, they can't
course.
just don't just want to call the 800 number if there is
Yep.
one. So what level, I guess, of contact information are you able to provide?
That's a great question. And the contact is always a challenging one. And I definitely don't think that our data source is 100% coverage in terms of every business having a great contact. I don't think, yeah, it's very challenging. So what we can do is bring you what the best industry has to offer. So we pull our contacts from many of the different sources so that we can get you as good as there is. It is still not 100% though. As a data person, I will be the first to wish that it is. But
Right.
it really isn't, and it's just gonna be a combination of us bringing you what the best industry has to offer, combined with your ongoing effort on the ground and gathering some of that and filling some of the blanks. So both things.
Okay. Also, Katie wanted to know if you are able to capture home-based businesses.
Yes, we do. Yes.
That's great. That's definitely a useful tool. Someone is, oh, follow-up question from Katie, and then I'll go to the other one. Does
Ah,
Blue Dot offer the surveying platform, or does it just sync with SurveyMonkey, Google Forms, etc.?
no, we have a survey platform built in. So when our communities use our survey platform, you're able to do some of that data linking that I mentioned in terms of the database field. So highly recommend.
Perfect. Yeah, I really like how you're able to map over the answer, so someone doesn't have
Yeah,
to go and double check that.
manually. Oh, we've all been there.
Yes, yes, we have. All right, I have another question here. For tracking phone calls, emails, etc., is there a phone app or way to track those things when you're away from your computer? So for example, if you take a phone call or send an email when you're away from the office, will it automatically track it?
Great question. Yes. So Blue Dot is a web app. Essentially, you would just need a device that has a browser and internet, and you're good to go. So you just essentially open up, if it's on a phone or a tablet, just open up Blue Dot in your phone's browser, your tablet's browser, and then you'll see everything. It's device responsive, so you'll see a slightly different layout than if you're on your laptop or desktop, but you will have it will be accessible to you when you're on the road.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Yeah, these are great questions, you guys, and thank you for sticking with us. Again, we've integrated Blue Dot into some of the sites Golden Shovel has built and found their customer service to be incredibly responsive as well. So definitely appreciate you being here to present your solution to all of us today. Thank you so much, Sophia.
Thank you, Bethany. It's a great partnership with Golden Shovel.
Have a
Awesome.
wonderful day, everyone. And please visit our free resource learning library for more information.
Bye, everyone.